Hi, you're listening to Scribble Talk, a podcast for bid and proposal professionals. My name is Bhaskar Sundram, and with my co-host Ashley Case, we'll be sitting down with our industry veterans to share their stories, discuss their career, and learn how to make an impact in the industry. Today's guest is Charlotte Rees. Charlotte has worked in the bidding profession for nearly a decade, starting her journey as a bids and proposal apprentice for an engineering company. She has worked across several industries, including IT services, facilities management, and construction, and is currently Associate Director Bid Manager working with the professional services and property function. In 2018, Charlotte founded the Women in Bids and Proposals, the WIBAP community, to target gender equality within the profession and provide a space to share experiences and overcome the challenges we all face on a regular basis. Welcome to Scribble Talk, Charlotte.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Charlotte, let's go back to the very beginning. Where were you born? And let's talk about your high school and education.
So I was born in Hillingdon, West London. School and education, grew up in Hillingdon as well. Went to schools in this area. I actually studied a lot of maths and science-based A-levels, which is always quite a surprise given that I've seemed to ended up in quite a writing-based job. But when people look at my CV, they're like, oh, you didn't do English or any of the writing subjects. I was like, no, I did maths and science. So yeah, a little bit of a strange one there, but here I am.
Yes, from maths and science to joining as an apprentice in an engineering company. Talk us through that transition.
So I knew that I wanted to do an apprenticeship. I'll be completely honest, I didn't know what I wanted to do an apprenticeship in, and I applied to quite a few different ones. And I then realized that how the website works is that you then have to do all of the tests for all of them. And I started getting inundated with do tests for this company and this company. And I was like, oh, I actually need to go back and have a look through these and work out which ones I'm actually interested in. And I whittled it down. And one of them was the bid and proposals apprenticeship. And if I'm being honest, I knew a little bit about bidding I did economics at A-level as well. And I knew about kind of government schemes, maybe bidding for roads and stuff like that. But that's kind of as far as it went. I went to the interviews for a few, and NG Bailey just absolutely sold it for me on the interview. It was so lovely, and the way that they spoke about the apprenticeship and the experience in terms of still being able to learn, because I didn't want to stop learning. I definitely had considered going to uni, and I actually got into uni but decided that it wasn't quite right for me. I still was able to have that learning, but also be on the job, kind of getting that work experience, being in that real corporate world, and let's be honest, also getting paid for it.
I think it takes a lot of courage to choose an alternative career path, Charlotte. Traditionally, you do your A-levels, as you rightly said, then you try to get into a college or a university, complete it, then you still don't know what you're up to. Then you again do some graduate program and come out and do it. But again, totally, you very early on, you were able to choose an alternate career path, which itself is interesting. And talk us through how was the apprenticeship? This was apprenticeship when the word apprenticeship didn't even exist, right? This was like,
Yeah,
yeah,
so we were part of the kind of pilot scheme for the bid and proposals apprenticeship. And I think we were quite lucky that NGB was a great place to be, and they really did coach us through it. So even though there was a few hiccups along the way, we definitely had a lot of support. And in terms of learning about bids, as most people who fall into bids, we started with PQQ, supplier questionnaires, understanding the kind of basics of bidding, I guess. And at that point, the bigger picture wasn't such a focus, and it was more about understanding within the writing and within the content how we could, put the client first, and the reasoning behind why we say what we say. The apprenticeship actually allowed us to do some placements around the business as well. So Vicky Coleman, who I'm sure a few people who listen to your podcast will also know, we were able to kind of see what the other divisions were like, and then we were placed in certain divisions, and I ended up in IT, which for me, I think was a really great fit. It was quite a high kind of turn of bids, lots going on, lots of quick turnaround, really just getting thrown in the deep end, if I'm honest, of the bidding world.
right. How was it working alongside people, getting to know bids and proposals? Do you have a memory of your very first proposal or a very first few months of what happened around you?
I don't specifically remember my very first proposal. I do remember the advice that one of my colleagues gave me when I first started. She said to me, make sure you always follow up what has been agreed. And that is a piece of advice that I use even now, is that, if you're having conversations with people and they've committed to do things, or maybe you've told them something that's really important, write it down, follow it up in an email, because people are too busy to remember everything, and you're never going to be able to keep up with all of the stuff going on within bidding. Write it down, send them the email. It allows you to chase up. It allows you to have a record of what you said. It allows you just for your own peace of mind to know what's been going on in the past few weeks if you need to go back to it. So yeah, can't remember my first bid, but I do remember my first piece of advice that was like, okay, this is someone who's learned from not doing this before. I need to take note.
I think that advice is still relevant, even if you do hundreds of proposals with 30 years of experience.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a brilliant piece of advice immediately. So you grow from your career from being apprenticeship, and you also not only progress through your roles, taking a lot more experience, a lot more different types of bids, etc. Talk us through the transition of taking varied roles and also applying yourself in varied sectors.
Yeah, so obviously kind of working my way up to bid manager was really interesting. And I would say that probably through APMP and through all the kind of wider bidding organization, it allowed me to understand that kind of extra level to bidding, that it wasn't just about answering the questions with the client. Actually, there was this whole other piece of work that goes on with, capture, with how we can actually coach during presentations. It just really elevated, I guess, my understanding, and being able to then experience that in different industries for me has been really interesting to see different industries bid so differently. I remember when I first moved industries, I was so surprised, even in terms of what bids look like. It doesn't matter if you hear about it and you sit on webinars, when you're kind of involved in the process and you see how people work in a different way, it's just fascinating. And for me, being able to have that experience has been so beneficial, because it means that I've almost been able to take what I feel is the best parts from each one. So I kind of go, I really like how this industry do this and how they pull that together. Let me take that and be able to apply it to my new industry, and companies themselves working in different ways. I've been lucky to work for quite a few really good companies, and they all bid completely differently, and all of them high quality, but all in their own unique way.
That's a very interesting point, Charlotte. Can you share some examples of you realize, okay, now you grasped all the best practices of how to do a bid, then you enter a sector and it was like, okay, you could lift and drop some elements, but not all. Then you go and lift and drop some elements out of all. Can you share the nuances of how there is kind of, there is some generic proposal best practice, but every sector operates uniquely from your experience? one or two examples of what was the commonality and what was the uniqueness?
Yeah, so from, I guess, commonalities, that what's needed to be successful within a bid, I think, is pretty standard across the board. You know, the ones where they've got that relationship, they're having the conversations early before the RFP even lands. You know, you can almost feel it when you go through those initial conversations, knowing that actually we've got a good chance at this. And I think as a kind of bidding person, it gives you quite a lot of motivation to really get through the bid and get the team on board, and it just brings a completely different vibe. Things that definitely are different would be the types of proposals. Working in construction, I got very used to quite hefty, chunky technical documents, whereas now in professional services, it's a little bit more creative. We can do a little bit more with the actual document itself. I think sometimes it's also about the clients are slightly different as well. I know that in IT, there's such a focus around innovation and what you can do differently. And actually being able to, I guess, see the focus across the different industries means that it doesn't matter for me whether now I'm in construction or professional services or whatever it might be, the experience of, okay, you know, does this document need to be 300 pages? Have we actually asked the client what they're actually going to read, or are we just really used to putting together a 300-page response? And that's what I found every time I've kind of started a new role or in a new organization, to kind of understand the reasoning behind it and if there's anything that we can do differently, because sometimes it might just be we've always done it like that. And with the teams that we work with, especially now in my current position, I'm able to influence those conversations a little bit more, requesting that the team go back to the client and say, you know, why don't we ask the client a little bit more about this and why they're wanting this specific, I guess, layout, or maybe why they've come to us with those specific questions and not others. You know, what are they really looking for here, and being able to make sure we give the client what they want.
Well said, Darshana, well said. So again, you know what, as you're progressing through your career, you also gradually are not just doing the work, you're also managing people. Talk us through about experiences of elevating yourself into a role where you're not only doing, but also sharing the perception that now you're managing people. Obviously, that would have been a different challenge in itself, right? Because people always perceive you as the same, regardless of whatever your role is. They always see you 5 years down the line, you know, 6 years, 10 years ago, you were doing that. Their perception of you was always the 10 years rather than who you are today. So talk us through about how you managed manage those areas as well.
So I think because I was so lucky when I first started out to have some really good mentors and to be introduced to some really good people, anyone who's worked with me knows that I really, really do care about developing other people and where I can learn from them and where they can learn from me, and almost making sure that actually, yes, bidding is our day job, it's the key focus, but there's always this underlying part of, what do you really want out of your job? What do you want out of every day? Are you feeling fulfilled? Is there something that you're really interested in? And maybe we could try and get you more exposure to that. I've been a manager for, oh my God, quite a few years now. I would say, I don't even know how long, for ages. It feels like forever. And no matter who it is, at what stage they are in their career, even if it's not necessarily that they want to develop, it might just be about, you know, are they enjoying their work and what we can do? And then for others, it's actually, you know, how can I progress? I don't maybe know what area I want to focus on. Bids are so dynamic that maybe actually the bid management side of things isn't what you love. You love writing and you love getting involved in that kind of strategic messaging piece. Actually, we can kind of really leverage those skills and make sure that you're enjoying your work. In terms of, I guess, throughout my time of going from being that apprentice, it's definitely difficult, I would say, being younger. It's always hard. We have to all the time in bids manage up anyway, because a lot of the time we're working with really senior stakeholders. But for me, being slightly younger has always brought challenges in terms of being seen as that real strategic person to go to, being seen as someone who's kind of gained enough experience in my time, even though I am that little bit younger. I've had the experience, and hopefully I like to think I know what I'm talking about. But yeah, that's probably been one of my biggest challenges in actually working up through that kind of managerial way.
Totally, Charlotte. You just remind me of youngest who just say, Daddy, I'm too young. And when I say, just enjoy while you're young, he always say, no, I want to grow up quickly so that people, I want to play for. More or less, you feel the same. I'm growing quickly. I'm big enough now. Don't treat me as this little kid.
That is it. That is it.
That's beautiful. So over the years, I know you have done 10 plus years in different types of bids and different sectors as well. Any memorable bids, positive, negative, funny experiences that you had?
Funny experiences. I would say that some real key memories have been, I know I mentioned it already, but those bids where the whole team is committed, there's just a completely different feel when you know that everyone is aiming towards the same goal. They feel that they want the win. They want the win as an individual. We want the win as a team, and being able to really have everyone who pulls together. I've got some strong memories. Hannah McCarthy, who I used to work with when I very first started out at NG Bailey. Strong memories of us sitting in a war room in the office quite late with like music blaring, and the teams that we were working with, trying to hype them up, getting them to give us content, getting us to really work towards the deadline. That was still very early in my career, but actually that feeling doesn't go. And when you get to work with great people on great bids, and that kind of, I guess, overriding drive to win, it's unbeatable. It's fantastic.
Well said, Charlotte. That's beautifully put. Yeah, totally. I think every bid, in addition to the nuances of the bid, also you learn people as well through the bids. That's something which fascinates me and also fascinated you. So women in bids and proposal, already, as you grow through the career, you are learning the arts of signs of proposals, positioning yourself to take bigger and bigger roles. Then you also wanted to do something really big, which was never done before, which was the women in bids and proposal. Talk us through the why behind women in bids proposals and your journey so far.
Sure. So initially it came about after some conversations at some conferences, and a kind of phase of a lot of industry research by Bid Solutions showing, the salary gaps and that there wasn't enough women at senior roles. And it kind of just came about where we thought, what can we actually do about this? And I'll be honest, the initial launch event was something that was planned for a few weeks. I had some really great people on board who kind of shared it and said this will be a great event. And I put it on Eventbrite as free tickets. And I'd read up that with free tickets, you should only expect about a third of people. And even a third is a really good turnout. So as the numbers started creeping up, I thought, well, actually, there's only going to be probably about 10 people who turn up, not worry too much about it. And then we reached 100 people registered. And there was like this slight part of panic where I realized the space would definitely not take that many people if that many people did turn up. But then on the other side, I was like, no, that they're not going to turn up. Don't be silly. When we got to 120, I decided to kind of cancel sales of any more tickets just in case. And believe it or not, I think we had about 92 or something people who turned up for that first event. And it was just incredible to actually see that many women and men in the room who clearly felt passionate about this subject. It wasn't just me or the people I'd been speaking to. It was obviously something that people felt there was a need for. That event went really well. And out of it, we actually got some key kind of, I guess, challenges that those people in the room wanted us to have a look at. So we took those away, and that's where we started planning some kind of events, some socials, our first conference, really based around these topics that people had said that they wanted to either focus on or hear more about, and hear about how other people overcome those as challenges. That was now about 4 years ago, and in that time, you know, there's been quite a few ups and downs. This is obviously a completely voluntary thing that we do outside of work, and everyone knows how crazy bidding can get. So we go through periods of it being a little bit more quiet, but I've got a fantastic team who work with me on it and take their time out of their personal lives to assist with, whether that's creating events, whether that's designing things for us, because we obviously got to a point where we needed to really create a brand and show who we were, to just providing advice and us working out what direction to take. Over the past couple of years, we've really had to think about what we want to do as an organization and where our strengths lie and what our members want to see. We've reached, I think, about 1,800 members or something like that. So we really, really need to make sure that we're giving the members what they actually want to see and what they want to hear about. And we want to be different. We know that there's some great organizations out there who run fantastic events, and we want to make sure that we kind of do what's missing within that. And a big part of that is just networking, and it's about giving women and men the confidence that you can turn up to a networking event even when you're scared. Like, I always say it, I don't love networking, believe it or not. I'm always nervous about it and probably overthink way too much. And sometimes it's about just saying yes, going along, throwing yourself in the deep end. And something that's amazing about the group is there's such a range of people at different stages of their career, different backgrounds. What it means is you have the chatty folk who get in straight away, they've got stuff to say. You've got people who are more quiet and might sit back and listen initially, but by the end of any event that we've ever held, everyone's talking and laughing and getting along. Something that we had at the last conference was we actually did like a shuttle bus from the station to make things a little bit easier. And I actually got my dad to be the driver of it. And he said that no one would stop talking. He said literally straight from the off, they sat down and everyone just talked continuously from the moment they got in to the moment that they got out. And that would have been a load of people who didn't know each other. So actually to turn up to an event with that kind of commitment and that focus to really get involved, meet people and network, it's just such a lovely feeling. And we feel it on the day in the room. Any conference that we've done, you can feel that real kind of spirit, people bringing everyone together, and it's just so great. So yeah, that's kind of the journey so far. In terms of what we want to do going forward, we definitely, now that, you know, the dreaded COVID hopefully is slowly moving in a more positive direction, to bring back loads more networking. We want to get our members together. We've actually got an event in London in a few weeks, the first one since all of this. Bring back our conference. We'd like to bring back some other things which I'm not allowed to divulge yet, but watch this space. Yeah, we just want to get more people together, and our focus this year is about making a difference, making an impact. And I know you know already, Bhaskar, but there's some exciting things hopefully in the next few months that we'll be able to reveal a little bit more about.
That's brilliant, Charlotte. I think definitely. I think it takes a lot of courage to actually come out and start an, I will say, a movement rather than just a membership. You know, to just go and drive changes in what you can do. That takes a lot of courage. And talk us through about women in bids and proposals teams. You told me your father played a role. I'm sure there are a lot more people, Hannah, Trilini, and you know, Louise and others. Talk us through about all your members who join together, because you can have the passion, but there should be people around you who could make your vision come live. Talk us through about your team and the roles that they play.
Yeah, so my dad has been looped into quite a few of the conferences that we've done, whether that's setting things up. We did like a massive flower backdrop that he had to help me create. I say had to, I did ask him. In terms of, as I said, he kindly offered to drive between the station and the event of the last venue, the venue for the last event. Just to, I guess, give a bit of context there, our main aim for any kind of large events that we do is to keep the prices as low as possible and make sure that it's available to as many people as we possibly can. Because some of us, me especially, I've always been lucky enough that the organizations that I've worked for have been willing to pay for tickets to events, you know, cover travel sometimes to them. And I know there's a lot of people who are lucky to have that. But there's quite a few of our members who actually don't have organizations who maybe take bids as seriously. They're more of like an add-on support function. So an event, especially something that maybe isn't an accredited event, they might not be able to go to. And we've had people who genuinely book days of their annual leave to be able to come. So for us, it's really, really important to drive down the cost of the tickets as much as we physically can. And that's also made possible by some of our fantastic sponsors that we've had over the years as well. But with that in mind, this is where I guess my more creative side comes out. It doesn't come out very often, but when it comes to this, it's all about kind of driving down the cost. So yes, kindly, instead of getting a professional company to come in, my dad, who I will clarify is a professional driver, was able to drive that. So that got the cost down a little bit there. Also, my partner helped with that as well. And by setting things up in all of the kind of locations that we've done conferences in as well. My mum is a huge kind of back help for me, always helping with signing people in, helping me to get labels and name tags ready the night before. It's a very strange family thing that happens every March that we've done a conference. And then obviously the WIBAP team themselves. Hannah has been with me since day one at NG Ready for that first event, seeing me running around the office. Luckily, she's the most calm person ever. And she's like, we've got this, it's all in hand. And I'm very, very lucky to have her still part of it. She is one of the most fantastic writers I know. So when you see things that we post, often they have been written by Hannah and proofread by Hannah to make sure that we come across as professional as we possibly can. Then we've got Vicky, who I also met on my apprenticeship. We were in different divisions, but we kind of started our bids and proposals journey together. Vicky's been involved in quite a few of our events at North. And then more recently kind of stepped into a more strategic role, making sure that we was really driving our strategy. And it wasn't just about putting on events, and it was more about actually where we're really taking this and what do we need to do. Then Louise, I actually met Louise at one of our first London events. And of course, for anyone who has met Louise, she's so lovely and chatty. We got chatting for, I think there was a solid 45 minutes where I had to say, I'm so sorry, I need to make sure I kind of get around the room and say hi to some other people. But straight from the off, she had some fantastic ideas. And ever since she kind of joined our team, she's been a real driving force to making sure that we think about the bigger picture and make sure that we're really inclusive as much as we can possibly be, and we're doing the right things by our members and getting the right research and data that backs up what we're saying. We're not trying to just make this stuff up. We really do want to be supported by real evidence, and that's something that with the Bid Solutions salary survey is going to become more and more important over the next few months as well. And then definitely not last but not least, I've got Sophie and Emma, who kindly joined in the past couple of years to help us actually create a brand. Initially, it was kind of not the focus. It was more about the people and bringing everyone together. That actually at this point, we've got more members, and we really want to show that we're thinking about who we are and the messaging that we put out there. So Sophie and Emma do a fantastic job of pulling together graphics and working with us to make sure that our presence online or on paper, wherever you see anything about us, actually is really consistent and our messaging is clear. And also just to provide advice on some wacky ideas. Sometimes then those two come up with some great suggestions, which I'm hoping you're going to get to see at our next conference, seeing as that's now back on the cards. Just to do things that aren't necessarily what you would expect from our industry, things that are fun, really personable, bringing people to just have a good time. Because as much as we definitely want to focus on all these challenges and people learning and really bringing this benefit, we want people to be able to turn up and feel like they have had a really good day. And yeah, if anyone's got any suggestions on that also, please do let us know. If you've got any ideas for our conference or any ideas for what you'd like to see, just drop me a message.
Thanks. Thank you, Charlotte. I think that's brilliant. I mean, like, I'm glad that, you and team are doing your best to not only working on bids within your organization, but also coming and creating these opportunities for others to get together, learn from each other, and also share their experiences and any other stuff that goes through within the organization, like a moral support. But that's great. Wish you and your team all the success, and always there to help support from my side and my team side.
Thank
as well.
you.
So
Thank
now,
you so much.
let's officially end the personal round. Before we do that, please talk us through the 3 things not many people know about you, Charlotte.
This is always one of those questions. I feel like I've been very kind of focused on my personal life in what we've spoken about so far. But 3 things I guess people won't know about me is I used to be a dancer. So I spent the first, I don't know, probably from about the age of 3 up until I was 17, I used to dance in kind of ballet and all of the other classical training that goes along with that, doing shows and pantomimes and all sorts. Only people who really, really know me know that about me. Something else is, this one's not really a secret. It only takes a day of being with me to see that I've got a bit of a biscuit obsession. I eat way too many and everyone tells me off for it. I actually am in the process of trying to cut down. I won't tell you how many I'm cutting down to a day, but yes. And then the third one, I found it really hard to pick 3, but something else people don't know about me is that I originally wanted to work in like CSI or SOCO and do like fingerprinting and solving crimes. Again, not quite the career path I've ended up taking, but that was something that I thought for a strong amount of years that could be my future career.
What about 3 different things? Again, what we do some work with forensic medical sciences as well, Charlotte. It's still not late to put you in touch with people who can switch you. So that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, like biscuits, what type of biscuits, Charlotte? Any biscuits or any particular brands?
I'm a strong lover of a bourbon. I feel like that's a solid choice for a biscuit. Also cookies, digestives, usually like a hint of chocolate somewhere is my preference. But I wouldn't say no to many biscuits, if I'm being honest.
That's brilliant. I mean, like, I'd be a perfect partner for you on that one. So that's nice. So dancing, like, and it looks like from 3 to 17. But what stopped you from pursuing a career in dancing, like, the classical or what do you call it, dancing or anything like that?
It was definitely a hard one and something I thought about. Always loved dancing, loved competing in competitions. I think the main reason is because often it's quite a short-lived career. You usually have to be quite young. It's a really difficult market as well because there's obviously so many dancers out there. You can be fantastic in your kind of region or whatever, but actually there's so many out there that it's a hard market to really smash and get into. Also just the pressure of it, I'll be honest, there's some really quite harsh conversations that happen if you want to go professional in quite a few of the industries, about your weight and what you look like and the kind of things that you can and can't do. And I mean, I've just told you about my biscuit obsession, so I didn't think I'd be able to keep up.
Biscuits versus ballet, you preferred a different B rather than
yeah, exactly. I made my choice and it was the food.
It was the B that you like. That's great, Charlotte. I think I'm sure when there are few drinks we all dance, but it's not the same as what you have been doing. But that's okay.
But to be fair, dancing definitely taught me a lot about discipline, and it's something that for doing it for so many years, kind of honing skills, not giving up, keep pushing on. It still definitely sits with me, even now doing something that's completely different. Those skills don't go.
That's great. That's great. I'm glad that you are still using your dancing skill to do Pilates. How often do you do Pilates?
Not often enough. Not often enough. It's something that I am trying to be better at. especially from a kind of mental health perspective as well. It's really great to close off, spend some time not thinking about bids, not thinking about anything else going on in the world, being able to just really connect and take that time. I've tried a lot of different exercise over the years, and I think weirdly Pilates is probably most similar to dancing, and a lot of Pilates instructors actually have that kind of background as well. So it almost allows me to kind of link back to that passion a little bit in my spare time, which is something I really enjoy.
Yeah, Charlotte. So from then on, now let's officially enter the rapid random fire question round, or in honor of Howard Nutt, we call this the Nutters round. So there is no right or wrong answer. let's just go with whatever that's in your mind. So are you ready?
Yes.
Yeah, let's go. So have you ever thrown someone an extravagant party, or a group of people?
An extravagant party. I threw my nan a fancy dress party for her 90th birthday 2 years ago. And everyone went kind of 50s style, like very exciting. She actually didn't know about it, and I'd bought her like a pink lady's jacket for when she turned up, and there was kind of like her brother who she hadn't seen for years, and I've got quite a few cousins, and everyone got together, and yeah, it was a very nice occasion.
Totally, that sounds so beautiful. So what's the weirdest thing you have ever eaten?
Ever eaten? Oh my God. I'm a pretty fussy eater. The weirdest thing? That's such a hard question. See, it's probably not very weird, but I really, really didn't enjoy eating lobster. I had it on holiday once, and I found it so strange. It's not really a weird thing, but for me, I did not enjoy it.
Yeah, it has, by the time you remove the shells, you lose interest in eating the food. It takes a lot of effort.
Exactly. I'm not very adventurous when it comes to food.
Yeah, I can agree with you on that. So if you were to choose a kitchen appliance, which one would you choose as by one thing that you cannot live without?
One thing I can't live without in the kitchen. I would say probably a kettle, because I do love a cup of tea and a cup of coffee.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So
if you either have to choose between cup of tea or cup of coffee and the biscuits and desserts, which one would you choose?
So I could only have tea or biscuit.
Exactly.
I would have to choose biscuits. I'd be sad because I often dunk my biscuits in my tea, so that'd be a little bit sad, but I would choose biscuits for the long term. Yeah.
Legends, that's what legends do. Biscuits with tea. Nice. So yeah, what's something your parents or friends would warn me about you?
I feel like I should have had this question in advance. What they would warn me about. I get overly stressed about being late. It's something I hate, and if other people make me late, they do definitely get my my sassy side, and I don't deal with it very well.
That's good. Good to know. Good to know. And it's warning to anybody joining women in business proposals.
Oh no!
It's a straight talk. I
don't mind if they're late. If they can be late, but I don't want me to be late. That's the focus.
Still, you set the standard there, Charlotte, which is very good. So, what's the most you have ever spent on something you absolutely did not need at all?
Something I didn't need.
Something like reactive purchase.
There's definitely something on the tip of my tongue. I'm thinking I bought something and I thought I would use it all the time. I'm sure it was either to do with working out and exercise. I think it might have been to do with that, and I thought I would use it all the time. There's something that I can't remember, but I would also probably say my gym membership, which I actually cancelled this month. It was way overpriced for what I wanted to pay, but it was so close to my house that I thought, if I'm paying this much, and it's this
Yeah.
close. I have absolutely no excuse. I'll have to go. And what actually happened was I didn't go. I didn't go at all. And then now I just feel sad that I spent so much money on a gym that I didn't go to. So yeah.
Exactly. That's I'm sure that I can literally see many people nodding their heads listening to this. I think it's very common. So do you remember the very first band you ever saw live?
Yes, I do.
Or any band? Yeah.
It's between a few actually. It's very embarrassing that I'm going to have to admit to this. Oh no. So I saw The Weeknd live, and he was fantastic. I I also saw Justin Bieber. I want to admit I'm not a huge fan. I actually had discounted tickets, but that being said, he was one of the most incredible performers that I had seen. So I had low expectations at the time, and I was quite old, and I was surrounded by teenage girls basically when I was there. But he was fantastic, and I would recommend going to see him. He was really good.
Totally. Why not? Yeah, that's it. So when is the last time you wrote a letter to someone?
I don't know if I have ever written a kind of personal letter to someone. I don't think I have. I am quite a digital person. I often arrange to have video calls and FaceTimes with family if they're far away. Same with friends, really. I don't think I have written a personal letter.
Wow, that's interesting. Would you like to write a personal letter to someone?
I would actually. I think that'd be quite an interesting thing to do. I've got friends who do a lot of writing and postcards, and they always say to do that. So maybe I'll make that something I try and do this year to someone.
Yeah, I think choose somebody and then write a letter. You can even I do write a letter to myself every year, checking this is what I did this year, and this is what I will do next year, and I send it to my friend, and he always posts it to me just around Christmas time. So that
really? I love
yeah.
that idea. Have you made that a bit of an idea within your kind of Scribble community? Have you suggested anyone else does that, or can I steal that for WIBAP?
Of course you can totally steal it.
I love that. I think that'd be such a great thing for people to do at the end of the year, almost a kind of, you should be really proud of yourself for all of this great stuff. Let's keep learning and keep doing more next year. I'm gonna make a note of it now, and you'll find that at the end of this year.
I think you should write it as if it has happened. So you should write it like 2023 July. I spoke to Charlotte. I spoke to this. I did this. I did that. So that you are actually saying this is what I did, but in reality, that's what you will be doing next year. You got me? So it's not like it's like it's like not objectives, goal setting or something. Literally, you just need to assume
that's going to be the case. I really like that idea. Amazing.
Yeah, exactly. That's good. You can take it. That's my little gift to women in bids and proposals. There's no copyright issues. You can hold it. So which UK or Hollywood actress would you get to play as the lead character to portray you in the movie of your life?
I would like it to be someone like Margot Robbie, if I could choose anyone. I know that's it's a bit even further far-fetched than anyone playing an actress of my life, but yeah, I'd like it to be Margot Robbie. I think she's very cool, and I think she would be able to get the strong balance of being kind and loving, but also with a bit of sass.
Sounds about good. I'm sure we'll pass it on to Margaret Robbie at some point. And Scribble Talk becomes so famous, I'm sure she's gonna listen to and she'll be like, oh yeah.
Maybe that will be my letter next year.
Exactly. Write it to Margaret Robbie. That's good. So what's in your music playlist now?
At the moment, I've been listening. Oh God, I'm confessing all the worst things here. I have quite a varied music taste, actually. It very much depends on my mood. Today I have been listening to a kind of like chilled playlist, just kind of getting through work. There's been quite a few things I've needed to focus on. So it was just a Spotify, I think it was called like chilled Sunday morning, which is wishful thinking that it was the weekend, but just a chilled playlist today. I like to mix it up. I do have artists that I prefer, and sometimes if I really need to get into the zone, I'll just put them on. But at the moment, yeah, I'm going for a varied playlist.
That's great. That's great. So if you had to choose a completely new profession, what would you pick?
I get torn because I think there's one that could sit more maybe alongside my passions. Like I would quite like to be like maybe a Pilates instructor or something like that, be able to go on some beautiful retreats and, you know, help people to feel quite good in themselves and their body and their kind of mind. That would be really great. But also I feel like unless you're in the kind of prime of that career, I don't know how great it is in terms of pay. So I would then maybe have to choose something that would maybe pay a little bit more. I think if I could do anything else, I would like it to be more exciting, but I probably would end up being like an accountant or something quite like that.
Well, what a swing between Pilates instructor to an accountant. I didn't see that coming, Charlotte.
That's literally that's my problem in life. I've got like a very logical, like, think about this, think about what I'll be able to kind of provide and be sensible. And then there's like another side that's like, no, I want to live the dream and do all this other stuff.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that's good. That's good. I think that is, you prefer some balance, but at the same time, that is this slight thing in your mind that you would like to do something. I'm sure it fall in place. So that's the end of the Nutters round.
Amazing.
So who are the people who have been the most influential in your life and also in career?
As I said, my parents have always supported me. They've definitely kind of made me more confident and got me to almost stand up and go for things that I probably wouldn't have without them. My friends, for sure. I've got a really lovely friendship group who I would say everyone is great at hyping people up. So if there's an interview or there's, you know, wanting to go in and ask for promotion or whatever it might be, we all kind of rally in and we're like, yes, you're absolutely amazing. Tell them how great you are. And you can't help but absolutely love being able to be hyped up before those kind of things. It definitely has influenced, I think, decisions that we've all made and how confident we've been in ourselves. And then finally, I think I've had some really great kind of mentors and coaches throughout the years who, too many to name, to be honest, but they have always, I think, told me to go with my gut, and if I'm not happy with something, really listen to that and think about how I can have solutions to those problems. You know, it's really easy for us, especially in bids. I think we come across so many challenges. It's easy to get bogged down in the challenges and really have to think about how we can overcome them. Is actually the key. Don't think about the challenge, think about how we're going to overcome it and what we can do to make a difference. How can we really make change?
Nice, good. I'm happy that you have so much abundance in your life, Charlotte, you know, with your positive attitude, with your sharing and giving. I'm sure you're going to get a lot more love and support. Not now, but also in the future.
Thank you.
So who haven't you seen or talked to in a long time and you hope that they're doing okay?
Actually, Hannah, who I mentioned earlier, I haven't seen her for ages. I was meant to see her this evening, and as I told you, I've got a toothache and I've got an emergency dentist appointment, so I've had to postpone. But I would love to see Hannah, and if she's listening, I promise we will reschedule very soon, because it's actually been years now since we've seen each other in person.
Totally. Maybe you could invite her to your dentist. Yes, so that's good. So I know we talked about your early life career, then from apprenticeship all the way into associate director of bids and bid manager now, and different roles, women in bids and proposals. Some personal questions. but you have seen from the bottom up, and also you're interacted with a lot of people. What's that one common myth about this bid and proposal profession that you would like to debunk?
I think that there's always a common myth that we just make documents look pretty. And there's lots of different variations of the word pretty, which I won't say, but I think we've all experienced such a, oh, I just need this. I just need this document tidied up, or I just need this. And actually, that's really not where our value lies. Our value lies in strategic messaging and helping to position you with the client and all of that great stuff. And if we could get rid of the myth of the kind of make this look better and more about help us to position ourselves better, I think it would be a better time for every bid and proposals professional.
That's nice. That's nice, Charlotte. So, Charlotte, what's that one advice would you like to give to bid and proposal professionals?
I would say be confident in what you know. If you are talking with stakeholders in your company, with clients, whatever it might be, other people in our same profession, be confident that we have skills as bidding people. We can often not be, that main function, and you've got salespeople, business development people, project managers who are out there with all this great stuff that they can show. And often we're just working and churning behind the scenes to win all this work. But actually, without us, a lot of these organizations actually couldn't survive. We're such a key part, and it's important to remember that key role that we play and be confident in the skills that you have.
Well said, Charlotte. Well said. Charlotte, what's next for you? What are you looking forward to in the immediate future?
As I said, there's some really exciting things with Women in Bids, being able to get back to some face-to-face networking and being able to bring the community together. That's a really key part of the rest of this year. I think just hopefully feeling some more normality in general. It would be nice to not have to worry about the big C, and for people to be able to go out and really make the most of their time. From most people that I've spoken to, I think the past couple of years has brought about more of a love for life, and realizing actually maybe I don't want to just stay in, or I don't want to do this. Actually, I want to get out there and experience. And I think for me, definitely, I'm wanting to, all the things that I might put off and go, oh, but I've got to do this, or I've got work, or whatever it might be, get out there and go and explore new things and learn new things.
That's nice, Charlotte. I think we all need a break. I think it's been a zombie state for like 2.5 years, even though it seems to be coming out of COVID, or hopefully I still hear lots of stories, but I think the course correction will take months, if not years, for all us to get back into thick setting. Until then, there is this clutter that we all have within our minds, within our emotional states, etc. But yeah, do find the space. And you being a sociable person, and I'm sure you will be able to crack it out and come out even stronger. Thank you, Charlotte. And is there any part of your life or career, or is there anything else you would like to share in the last minute or two of the podcast, Charlotte?
I think probably something quite personal to me. I touched on it earlier. If you're at the start of your career, or you're a little bit younger, or especially obviously if you feel that you're at a disadvantage in any way, whether that's because you're a woman, because of your ethnicity, whatever it might be, don't overthink it. We're all in this together. There's so many people who want to make change, make progress. Let's get together and try and make our profession as good as it possibly can be. And in terms of our group, we are always here, even if you just want to chat about something that's going on, or you need, an ear to listen to you, whatever it might be. Come and chat to the team, Women in Bids and Proposals. We've got our group online. We've hopefully got a lot more events coming up. And if not, just drop us a message.
Oh, that's beautiful. Thank you. Definitely. I'm sure listeners will be browsing through Women in Bids and Proposals if they haven't, or if they're existing members, I will be so excited that there are lots of stuff that's going to come up. But either way, thank you, Charlotte, for everything. Continue to stay healthy, to keep inspiring us, and continue to contribute more and more to the bid and proposal community. And please do pass my love and support to everybody around you, including your beautiful family.
Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. It's been very fun this afternoon. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Charlotte. Thanks a lot.
To our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in. Please visit batchyscribble.com/podcast to listen to this episode and check out any of our other previously recorded episodes. If you've enjoyed today's interview, don't forget to subscribe, review, and share the Scribble Talk podcast. We hope you'll check out our next episode where we interview another industry expert and special guest. Until then, it's Ashley Kays,
Pastor Sundram,
signing off.